Welcome to the countdown of the best, worst, and most unexpected moments from the 2025 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'll be your guide through this peculiar ritual, a slow procession of inflatable icons and relentless cheer. Together, we'll dissect the triumphs, failures, and unplanned chaos that make this tradition oddly compelling. Let the festivities begin. Every year, anticipation builds as a new balloon is unleashed upon Manhattan, drawing thousands to the city's bustling streets. The air is thick with excitement, and the crowd's energy is palpable, as if everyone is waiting for a glimpse of something magical and unexpected. This year, the honor belonged to Gloomshade the Gargoyle, a gothic oddity resurrected in shimmering vinyl. Unlike the cheerful cartoon icons of years past, Gloomshade was a creature of shadows and sharp lines, its wings outstretched as if ready to take flight above the city's rooftops. Gloomshade's brooding presence was a stark contrast to the usual parade fare, detailed, tormented, and oddly majestic. Its design was intricate, with every crease and contour casting dramatic shadows, making it look almost alive as it drifted between the skyscrapers. Children gawked in awe, some a little frightened, while parents snapped photos, eager to capture this rare spectacle. The handlers, gripping thick ropes, struggled to keep the beast in check, nearly losing it to the city's unpredictable winds that threatened to send it soaring out of reach. TV commentators rambled on about the engineering marvels behind the balloon, discussing air pressure and material strength, but somehow missing the point entirely: the strange, captivating spirit Gloomshade brought to the parade. Above it all, Gloomshade floated serenely, a symbol of isolation in a sea of forced joy. It seemed to drift in its own world, untouched by the noise and celebration below. It didn't deflate, didn't crash, just hovered, a silent observer. There was a quiet dignity in its stillness, as if it was content to simply exist, watching the world go by. Its debut was a success, if only for its honest melancholy. The crowd's applause was tinged with curiosity, and maybe even a little respect for something so different. For a fleeting moment, the parade felt real, less about spectacle, more about emotion. People's faces reflected wonder, confusion, and even empathy for the lonely gargoyle above. Gloomshade wanted no part of the celebration, and I found that deeply relatable. Sometimes it's easier to float above it all, observing rather than participating. Sometimes the most honest thing is simply to endure, to keep going, even when you feel out of place. In its quiet defiance, Gloomshade reminded us that there's beauty in standing apart, and sometimes that's what makes a moment truly unforgettable. This year's Broadway interlude came from The Alchemist's Requiem, a plague drama, not your typical Thanksgiving fare. The cast, draped in velvet and leather, delivered Dance of the Poultice, a feverish, bleak number about mortality. The crowd was stunned into silence, unsure how to react to such darkness amid the confetti. Social media split, some called it art, others called it a buzzkill. The camera cut between anguished performers and bewildered families, amplifying the disconnect. For 4 minutes, the parade became street theater with a soul. No smiles, just commitment to the narrative's grim reality. The silence after their final pose was more powerful than applause. For once, the parade was genuinely interesting. Marching bands usually blur together, but the Northgate High School marching phantoms broke the mold. Dressed in black with blood-red plumes, they played a slow, mournful ballad, more dirge than holiday tune. Their formations morphed into weeping willows and ravens, haunting the city streets. The crowd fell silent, transfixed by the band's spectral choreography. The finale, all but one musician collapsed, leaving a lone clarinetist to play a piercing note before sinking to the ground. It was a theatrical death, perfectly executed. Commentators missed the point, calling it unique. The phantoms brought gloom, not cheer, a welcome reminder of the season's shadows. Sometimes, darkness is the most memorable part of the celebration. Magnificent. Physics cares little for tradition, as Captain Comet learned the hard way. Every year, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade brings joy and wonder to the streets of New York, with its towering balloons and festive crowds. But sometimes, even the most carefully planned spectacle can be upended by the forces of nature. A rogue gust caught his cape, twisting the balloon sideways and dragging his face along a hotel's windows. The wind, unpredictable and fierce, turned a routine parade into a moment of chaos as the massive superhero balloon lurched dangerously close to the buildings. Guests inside got an unexpected visit from a giant, deflating superhero. Imagine sipping your morning coffee, only to find Captain Comet's enormous face pressed against your window, eyes wide with cartoonish surprise. The handlers fought valiantly, but a flagpole tore the balloon, and Captain Comet began to sag. Their frantic efforts to regain control were no match for the relentless wind and the sharp metal that spelled doom for the parade's star attraction. His slow collapse was oddly captivating, a superhero brought low by a simple tear. The crowd watched, transfixed, as the once mighty figure deflated before their eyes, his cape fluttering helplessly in the breeze. Commentators tried to spin it, but the truth was clear. We were watching a hero's undignified demise. The crowd was riveted, some gasping, others laughing, all united in the spectacle of the unexpected. Captain Comet's fall was more memorable than any triumphant flight. In that moment, the parade became unforgettable, not for its perfection, but for its unpredictability. Vulnerability, not strength, stole the show. The superhero's struggle reminded everyone that even the mightiest can falter, and that's what makes these moments so human. Sometimes, the best drama is unplanned. The mishap became the story of the day, shared in photos, retold in laughter, and remembered long after the parade ended. A perfect metaphor for the day. Lesson learned: even in the grandest celebrations, it's the unexpected moments that truly bring us together. Celebrity appearances are usually forgettable, but this year, Werner Herzog stole the show. Perched on a float of plastic cornucopias, he stared grimly at the parade, mug in hand, refusing to wave or smile. His presence was so surreal that viewers thought it was a prank. Cameras zoomed in on his stoic face as pop music blared around him. The internet exploded with memes. Herzog, the existential observer amid forced cheer. He didn't interact, just observed, radiating existential dread. At one point, he whispered something chilling to a reality star, leaving them visibly unsettled. Herzog's silent protest became accidental art. Sometimes, the best moments are the ones that make no sense at all. A surrealist masterpiece. Dance crews usually blend together, but Vortex from Detroit broke the pattern. Dressed in gunmetal gray, they moved as a single mechanical organism. No smiles, just precision. Their routine was a human-machine gears, pistons, and circuits formed from bodies. The music was harsh, industrial, and utterly devoid of holiday spirit. The performance was unsettling, a critique of conformity and spectacle. The crowd watched in fascinated silence. Vortex didn't entertain. They provoked. Their final pose was a frozen, complex sculpture, held for 10 seconds before they marched away. It was cold, beautiful, and intellectually stimulating. The parade's most thought-provoking act. Rain turned the parade into a minefield for the roller-skating elves of the Winter Wonderland float. Their routine was doomed from the start: wet pavement, oversized candy canes, and too much ambition. The first slip was minor, but soon one elf's fall triggered a spectacular chain reaction. Elves tumbled, candy canes flew, and the music played on, oblivious. The crowd roared with laughter at the festive pile-up. The elves untangled themselves, dignity in tatters, and skated away. It was pure, unscripted comedy, a reminder of the event's fragility. Sometimes, the best moments are the ones that go wrong. The absurdity was beautiful. Even elves can't escape gravity. The parade's climax is always Santa's arrival, a corporate signal that the holiday season has officially begun. For generations, this moment has been the highlight, the crescendo that transforms a city street into a stage for magic and anticipation. As the crowd waits, there's a collective breath held, a sense that something larger than life is about to appear. The final float, lavish and gaudy, rounds the corner with Santa and Mrs. Claus waving to the masses. Their costumes sparkle under the city lights, and every detail is designed to dazzle. The float itself is a spectacle: reindeer poised mid-leap, golden sleigh runners glinting, and a cascade of artificial snow swirling in the air. Children scream, parents hoist them up, and the crowd erupts in anticipation. Faces light up with wonder, and for a moment, the city's usual rush is replaced by pure, unfiltered joy. The energy is contagious, rippling through the crowd like electricity. Santa's wave is both personal and impersonal, a practiced gesture for millions. Each sweep of his gloved hand feels directed at every child, every family, yet it's a ritual repeated year after year, honed to perfection. It's a performance, but one that never fails to enchant. He is the myth, the brand, the promise of wish fulfillment. Santa embodies hope, generosity, and the thrill of possibility. For advertisers and children alike, he is the ultimate symbol, timeless, instantly recognizable, and endlessly marketable. His arrival marks not just the end of the parade, but the start of a month-long frenzy. The city shifts gears, storefronts glow with lights, and the countdown to Christmas officially begins. It's a signal to shop, to celebrate, to believe, at least for a little while. The sound of ho 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 echoes off the buildings, both jolly and oddly menacing. It's a laugh that signals joy, but also the inescapable march of the season. The ritual is complete. The season has begun. There is no escape. The city, the crowd, and the millions watching at home are swept up in the spectacle. The spectacle ends as it must. The floats disappear, the music fades, and the city returns to itself, changed, if only for a moment, by the magic of Santa's grand entrance. As the clauses reach the end, Santa breaks the fourth wall for his annual message. This year, after the usual platitudes, he adds, "Remember to be kind to those who feel unseen. The quiet ones often have the most interesting things to say." For a moment, the message feels genuine, a crack in the corporate facade. The camera lingers on Santa's face, then cuts to the cheering crowd. He gives a final, personal wave to a child with a somber sign. In that small gesture, the parade finds its only real warmth. Sometimes, the truest spirit is in the quietest moments, a tolerable, even touching ending. The spectacle is over. The streets are cleared, the performers gone. We've dissected the absurdity together. Thank you for enduring it with me. Share your favorite moments below if you must. Subscribe for more cultural autopsies. The parade is done. The autopsy is complete.